Hi everybody, thanks very much for joining us today. If you're jumping on board on our live stream on LinkedIn, my name is Paula. I'm on Team Serve. So Serve, if you don't know us, we're an overseas volunteering and international development organization, and we work in partnership with communities and partner organizations in the global south. So we focus on Southern Africa, India and Southeast Asia. And we're doing this chat today, SolidariTea Chats, we're calling it. It's a play on words because our tagline is solidarity in action. Okay, and that's how we kind of live and work by. And so our SolidariTea Chats is on the run up to Christmas, dare I say it. We're nearly in October now. So I don't know if I'm allowed to say the word Christmas yet or not, but we're going to be doing a series of chats like this over the next few months on the lead up to Christmas, just to get just to meet other organizations. And I'm delighted to be joined today by Daniel from the Silly Heads. So welcome, Daniel. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks a million for the invite, Paula. I really appreciate it. Yeah, delighted to be here.
Great. Do you want to start off, Daniel, maybe just by telling everyone who you are and
absolutely, yeah,
what you're doing?
Yeah, so as you said, I'm Dan, Daniel, if you want to be formal. So I'm 50% of the Silly Heads, and what we are is a social enterprise based here in Cork in Ireland. It's all centered around mental health advocacy, in particular very visual mental health advocacy. How do we do that? We have devised a very engaging, empowering workshop. We spent a lot of time on that, and we actually use animations, cartoon characters, and ourselves to tell a very personal story through mental health advocacy. And I suppose to round it off, we encourage people to use our products. So we have a range of apparel, so that's why I'm wearing the bobble hat. And it comes with a lot of subtle messaging on the back of the products on the inside. And that's all to set up a cue to start conversation and to express advocacy, potentially without saying a word. So that's essentially what we do.
Nice, very good. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. It's great to connect as well, especially fellow organizations in Cork as well. I found out we're not very far from each other, so
no.
I'm just going to share my screen here just to get my PowerPoint up. So today we want to talk about just a couple of topics, and Daniel and myself are going to just discuss the topics over the next kind of 20 minutes or so. We kind of want to share, I suppose, a perspective from Ireland, as well as perspective from the partner countries that Serve work in as well. Yeah, so just to kind of give you a quick overview of today's topic. So like, we really advocate for the SDGs as well. Daniel, I'm sure you're very well, you know, the SDG 3, good health and well-being. I think it fits this topic quite well. So I'm kind of highlighting that one today, particularly good mental health and well-being practices. So I suppose the first topic maybe we could kick into and will be maybe just to chat about the stigma to mental health illness in Ireland and other cultures in the world. So like, I can chime in about some of the kind of cultures that I suppose we face and our partners face overseas as well.
Yeah, stigma. I think from an Irish point of view, and again, we're coming from a very personal story. We're not professionals, as we always say, but we do have lived experience through the system and in real time as to what's actually going on. And I know I'm heading to the big 40 next year, 40, but like, my mental health issue started in my late teens. So I've seen a shift through, 20 years ago to what is now when it comes to stigma. And what we speak a little bit in our workshop is the sort of the realization that stigma, unfortunately, still does exist. even in a very forward-thinking country such as Ireland, but it sort of masks itself from what we've seen in sort of indirect stigma. And it sort of might present itself because people are less educated. They're very sort of fearful of engaging in the conversation around mental health in words such as anxiety, depression, suicide, and they tend to back off. And it leaves them, that in itself is sort of an element of stigma and applying shame. That individual might have a bit of self-stigma then, you know, coming away from that thinking, well, you know, there is no place to maybe open up when actually there actually is. And I think that's what we're trying to do, is give people that confidence to engage in saying those words and how to actually have a conversation or just around mental health. And there is no sort of magic formula. I think it's just a case of having another conversation and being confident about it, asking questions and listening. Probably the one of the biggest and most underrated skills in the world, listening to somebody.
Yeah, I'm like really listening, like active listening, you know, is yeah, like
100%.
Culture is a huge part of it too, isn't it? Like, you know, you could say that Ireland has changed in a lot in the last, like, even, you know, 40 years or so, but even like where someone's from in Ireland probably makes a big difference too, do you think?
Yeah, I think you can always sort of trim it back, you know, coming into local communities and even families. Maybe I know for myself, the sort of traditional outlook towards mental health in my own family, going back through 1 or 2 generations, was a very deep-rooted stigma, you know, of brushing things under the carpet and covering up sort of issues that might arise within the family. I do have a history of mental illness on one side of my family. And again, I would have seen stigma in full force, you know, even sort of throughout my childhood with older family members, extended family members. And I would have thought at one stage that this was the norm. And, you know, when I started to feel the mental illness creep into my own life, that I started to think for a little while that I was broken because I didn't know anything else. So yeah, I think, you know, communities and families, they can set the tempo for a culture when it comes to stigma by, you know, embracing sort of forward thinking, educating themselves around what stigma is and what can be done to prevent it. And it is a very proactive approach that's needed, as I said, from the family, community, and as a country, no matter where it is. And I think the more people that get sort of joined up in that thinking, I think that's where a lot of that happening will see, you know, a big shift in how we actually approach mental health, how we understand it, and how we can get people suffering with mental health conditions to reach the best of their ability. Because some of the brightest and best and most inspirational people also live with mental health conditions or mental illnesses, and we can't forget that.
Yeah. And then, like, I suppose internationally, I mean, like a lot of what you said, I think, can go across the board to many countries in the world. You know, it's not just Ireland. And I think, you know, it's just, even though what you're saying about that family and community, I think that culture kind of it's very similar across the board in the world, I'm sure. And I have some statistics here in front of me that is worth mentioning. You know, the role of mental health in global sustainable development and international development. This is a report by the WHO 2020, the Mental Health Atlas report, states that only 25% of the organization's members have integrated mental health into their healthcare system. That means diagnosis, treatment, care remains out of reach for the vast majority of 280 million people worldwide suffering from depression. That's a fairly daunting statistic coming from the WHO.
Yeah.
Yeah, and worldwide, more than 2/3 of people with mental health conditions don't get the care they need. There's a project called Project Hope, and it points out that in low and middle income countries, up to 85% of people with mental health disorders are untreated. So it's, you know, obviously, you know, it's just a massive issue globally.
Yeah, mind-boggling numbers.
Yeah, you know,
but
so
again, look, a reminder, I think it's important to know these numbers, a reminder, you know, there is steps being done there's, I think, big sort of steps being done in a lot of places, but there's still so much more to do.
yeah.
And I know, like, we had our budget here in this country during the week, and we're still not meeting the recommended amount of spend needed, of our total spend on our health service for mental health. We're still far below the recommendation. And again, I would question, and this is the job of sort of advocates, I think, you know, is to put to governments and to people who maybe have influence over policies, you know, why is mental health so far down the list? Why is it not being given the full amount of funding and attention and creative thinking as well that it actually needs? And I think a lot of that, if again we break it down, the question maybe is, does stigma play a little bit of a role? Do people, because it's such an invisible illness at times, you know, it's hard to it's not hard, but I mean, you know, to see something is much more, oh, it's there, we can see it, it's happening. When you can't see it, you know, the world is so fast that things, you know, your attention gets dragged. And I think that's the job of what we do, is to remind people that can make a difference that, you know, there's so much more that needs to be done.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, we actually picked a really good week to have this chat, really, considering the week that
I
we've
was
been
just thinking that.
in.
No, good timing. Yeah, of course.
But yeah, it's mad to hear, like, even, you know, the world's most developed countries are still, you know, they still struggle to make progress. You know, like one of the countries that Serve works in India, in Bangalore, with our partner called the Association of People with Disability. And they work with people with disability in the area around Bangalore. And you know, the stigma of people with disability, whether it's physical or mental, is massive challenge, and culturally, you know. And APD, look, Serve and APD have been working together since 2005, and like, we've been partnering more recently on a program called Disability Awareness for School Children. And it's, you know, it's basically just going into schools and community groups around the communities to educate people on, you know, what it is that these people have to live with. And it's just incredible, you know, because again, it's similar to even here in Ireland. It's, you know, it's just about kind of, you know, educating people and showing people that, you know, just helping people understand, I think, and just have that empathy, you know, to, I suppose, just raising awareness, just talking about it and putting it out in the open.
100%.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Kind of just, it's just taking that forward step to being more inclusive, you know, and as a society globally, really is the
absolutely. That is the macro goal. That is that is it, you know. And it's a huge task, but again, you know, I always say, and we always chat, if you were to take away everyone who's advocating and fighting and putting in the work to try and make this globe more inclusive and more equal, if you take away all those people, if those people said tomorrow, you know, I'm not going to devote my time anymore to this, you can imagine the impact, like what happens then, you know. So this is the job of us and millions of people like us around the world, is to, and it's always, you hear that word all the time, or words, raising awareness, but it has to be done all the time, because we have to keep reminding people of the struggles of these people, whether it's physical or mental. And
Absolutely.
that is it. And how we do that in very creative ways, but that is essentially it, day in and day out.
And another partnership, I suppose. Oh, I skipped ahead. Sorry, my PowerPoint is going wonky. Another partnership we have with in Southern Africa with our partner Young Africa, they're called, and they've got centres in several countries in Southern Africa, but we focus on with them in Mozambique and Zimbabwe for a program that we just launched last year. It's called the Skills for Youth Resilience Program. I think I could get it up here. Skills for Youth Resilience Program. And I mean, it basically tries to tackle the unemployment crisis in Zimbabwe and Mozambique, but it's a more wholesome project than just sending people to a skills training center and educating them in a particular skill, like, you know, carpentry, hairdressing, solar technology. Yes, that's it. But this program, like, research was done on what these young people need in terms of supports and training and on resilience and things like that, you know, to be resilient. So there's one thing about coming out of college and coming out of a course and being equipped to, you know, to do this actual job. But what if something happens? What if a cyclone comes in and knocks the shop that you're after putting, you know, dedicating years to, you know, to saving and putting up together? And what if there's an economic, you know, downturn? COVID, like, is the perfect example, you know, like everybody, like people who are working in like the, I suppose, like the informal sector in many countries, you know, even in Ireland, you know, people were just stopped overnight in doing what they were doing and their livelihoods. And it just took a huge toll on everybody mentally. You know, so this, I suppose, a program like this is, resilience is the key, and it's in the title of the program, because it's equipping people and there's training done, and these young people are being worked with to build up their resilience as well, for, like, what, you know, because life can deal you some cards sometimes, and I think it has to go hand in hand, you know. And I'm sure, like, young people here in Ireland as well, like, there's a level of resilience that we all need support in, to kind of bring us through and get us through to, if people were struggling in a certain area or with something, that they need that support in order to succeed in life, you know. And that's
100%.
That's kind of, I suppose, we're quite proud of this, because it is a more wholesome way of getting people out of unemployment and into employment with, you know, just a more sustainable approach for them to stay successful, you know, and thrive in life, rather than just, it's not just a job or a career.
Yes.
You know? And that's, you know, it's,
no, I look, I think you're spot on. Resilience is such a key, well, it's such a key skill. I mean, when I was growing up, I'd never heard of the word resilience. I heard my parents sort of say, "Well, just get on with it," but that was probably what they meant. But again, we're coming back to the education of understanding what resilience is. And you're right. Like, I mean, the world can be a cruel place. I mean, no matter where you are, you just don't know what's going to happen, good or bad, you know. And we've had our fair share of that. But I remember sort of analyzing resilience myself. You know, I live with generalized anxiety disorder and obsessive compulsive disorder. Now they're diluted a lot, because I've through medication, which has helped me massively, and it's not for everyone, but coupled with a lot of counselling, you know, I manage it. But I do have some setbacks, and I started to reflect on resilience and say, you know, the acknowledgement of understanding, sort of when you need a break, even when you need a bit of time out, when your body and mind are saying, okay, look, I just need a bit of a break. That in itself, I think, is resilience. The awareness to understand that you might need, you know, just a bit of time to reset mentally or physically. Understanding, you know, your potential, your strengths and weaknesses, I think all these are parts of resilience, because acknowledging and I suppose integrating those into your character prepare you to be resilient.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, a lot of the time we hear resilient of being, or we might get the impression resilience is sort of just keep going. This culture of sort of 5 in the morning, I'm in the gym, and then I'm doing this, and I mean, it's quite surreal actually, because
Yeah.
one of the most fundamental things to well-being is sleep, you know, or at least trying to get your 7-8 hours of sleep if that's possible. And all that is part of building up good resilience.
Yeah.
So and trying to have a balance, but at the same time being motivated and understand where you want to go in life. So what you were talking about there, about setting up people in industries, but building up that resilience to understand their purpose and learning about the balance of how to maximize their potential.
Yeah.
That's crucial. That's crucial. So yeah, that's great to hear. Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. Because yeah, I mean, you know, if you take it like it's just a more wholesome approach to, you know, to helping people, because, you know, you could end up with learning a skill, but, you know, if you're not confident, and if you're, you know, if you just feel like, no, like worthless, I'm not going to be able to do this, then what was the point, you know, of it? So like it has to come hand in hand. You have to believe in people and give people and equip people with the life skills and that you know, that belief, like, you know, in themselves, and the self-care that people have to do as well in order to succeed, take what life deals you, and, you know, be you know, learn ways to overcome the obstacles that come your way, you know.
That's it. Yeah, this is an important point actually. Adapt and find another path forward, which is I look, again, personally speaking, when things have gone wrong in my own life, you know, for that initial 24, 48 hours or whatever it might be, you know, you're really annoyed, like, and you're thinking the whole world is out to get you and the universe is coming down on you, or whatever it might be. But I think that's allowing yourself, that's a very natural reaction. But also just keeping that one little thought in the corner of your mind that when that passes, okay, this is a chance to be creative. This is maybe a chance to find a new way of solving a problem, whether that's in business or life, and looking at it as opportunity. And sometimes that can be hard because, you know, I've been there. You feel you've been done wrong by. But I think that's another skill of learning how to, or accepting that there is chances to turn, in most cases, a negative into a positive, and seeing that as an opportunity. And, you know, in a few weeks, you know, believing that you might be in a better headspace to say, right, okay, this might be a blessing in disguise almost. And even just acknowledging that and knowing that that time might come can give you a little sense of, okay, I can deal with this current moment.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Absolutely. I feel like I didn't show this slide actually as well to just give well, I already mentioned that APD in India, but I didn't put the slide up when I was talking about them. But just, yeah, again, like it's very similar kind of approach that they do as well, you know, that as I was saying, that, you know, the disability for school children program as well, disability awareness for school children program, and even just they did a lot of work kind of mobilizing people and helping people even during COVID, as the whole world obviously got shook. And so that's what I just wanted to put them on screen as well, you know, because the work we do with APD is just phenomenal as well. And the work that APD do in India, especially in India, like the stigma against disability in India is, you know, it is quite bad. So it's, you know, there's a lot of work done and a lot more to do in that sense. So it's that's a, you know, a very worthy cause as well. I suppose brings me on to, I guess, the listeners today and the people listening to us, Daniel, and things that they can do. I do apologize. There's some noise going on upstairs. I don't know if you can hear, but
no, I couldn't.
Yeah.
No, good.
Great.
All good.
So I've spoke about the work that Serve's doing with our partners. Two of our partners in particular was highlighted: Association of People with Disability in India and Young Africa in Zimbabwe and Mozambique. And if people would like to support us and help us to continue our work with these two partners, think of us for this Christmas as a donation. We have a shop on our website, so if you go onto serve.ie, there's a button on the top menu, shop, and there's a few different options of things you can get, particularly solidarity gifts, which is you're gifting to somebody in one of our partner communities, so that you don't physically get the gift, you're sending that gift to another person, which is a really, really thoughtful gift this Christmas. And then there's also other bits and pieces, fair trade products that were handmade in Thailand, and Christmas cards hand painted in Zambia. But you can just donate to us as well. We have a donate form on our website too, that if you just want to give someone give us a donation, we would really appreciate it. And Daniel, what would you like people to do? Or Dan?
Well,
said Daniel.
No, you're grand. You're grand. I haven't heard Daniel now in a while, I must admit. No, what would we like people to do? Look, I mean, I think we're very much focused on the mental health advocacy side of things here. What you guys do, we have to understand that we're gratitude, living in this country. And I would put it this way: if someone was, popping on our website at the moment and never heard of us and thinking of buying a hat, I would say, look, pop onto your website and put that money in there, because it's, yes, we need funds to keep what we do going, like anything else. We can't get it done. But look, even just for today, if you are new to the Silly Heads and what we do, and you are on our website or on our social medias, and you see something you like, I would say direct that money to yourselves, just to help. But I mean, other than that, the core message, I mean, you have it there, which sums it up: be kind. And I know we see that a lot, be kind. And that sometimes that I find it myself, I could be collecting my kids from the school, and I realize that I have a face on me as dreary as the weather here in Cork today. And I just remember, I go, actually, I have a lot to be grateful for. Okay, it's raining, but the least I could do is say hi to the person passing me. And I know that sounds very, very minute, but I've been there where someone has said hi to me and a smile out of nowhere. And it's a strange thing, like 4 or 5 hours later, I'm in some momentum of feeling a little bit better about myself. And it's just small things like that. And it can be done in so many different ways. So someone might remember that today or whenever, when they're out, actually, look, leave someone out of traffic, or, whatever it might be. Just that tiny little gesture, it can really change someone's day, and that can change someone's week, someone's month, someone's outlook. It really does start from small things. So that would be the core message. You have it down perfectly there in 2 words.
Yeah, be kind. Yeah, absolutely. It can take a split second to ruin someone's day, but it can also take a split second to make someone's day. So choose the latter. Absolutely. Yeah.
Spot on.
Yeah. Great. So I think we'll leave it there, Dan, and thank you again so much for joining us today and for sharing, and hopefully people who are listening can have learned something, or just food for thought as we kind of finish up a week, and we're heading into kind of crazy season really over the next few months with Christmas and everything, so people just need to look after themselves and look after others. That's the
absolutely. Yeah, and I'd like to thank you as well and all the team for inviting me on. It's great, and it's great to be introduced to new charities.
Yes.
I didn't know you existed, I'll be quite honest. But it's like anything, when you have a sort of a passion for social issues, you know, you start to check out websites and social medias, and you start to talk about it to more people. So I'm delighted that I was introduced to yourselves. I'm delighted to be invited on and to chat a little bit about it.
Great.
But yeah, as you said, yeah, we're coming into what is always a very fast moving, strange time of year. So don't be afraid to hit the pause button. There's plenty of time to do everything, and maybe just try and practice a little bit of gratitude and kindness. I think where possible, it goes a long way. Absolutely.
That's a great way to finish up, I think, with that thought. So thank you very much again, Dan, and thank you everyone for tuning in as well. We'll see you again soon.
Thanks a million.
Thanks. Bye.